Hello everyone. Uh, I'm going to discuss the weekly updates on international relations and internal security in the Focus Weekly section. Okay. So, whatever topics, whatever things were in the news with respect to world dynamics, world politics from exam point of view, UPSC exam point of view, will be discussed in these videos, and I'll take the issues both from the pre and the mains perspective. That if something was in the news, whatever aspects UPSC can touch in pre, will cover that, and what kind of questions UPSC can compile from that topic in mains. Now, very scoring module of your UPSC exam, because very broader aspects UPSC will ask. Okay, so the points we'll cover in the discussions will help you to cover any question, which will be almost every question which will be asked in mains, and you will have the pointers to frame your answers, and will touch the issues which UPSC can ask you in your pre-exam. So by following these videos, you will be able to answer almost all the questions of in UPSC for your pre-exam, which will be there in the exam from this particular module. Okay, so I'll cover every issue from both pre and mains perspective. Sometimes for topics of international relation, you need to know a lot of background. Will not be possible to tell all the background related to that particular topic. We'll touch the current aspect. We'll try to give you the background as much as I can to make you understand the importance of that particular issue and topic. Now, the first thing which was in the news is the Chabahar port. And Chabahar port we are building in Iran. But discussion we have done with whom? With the leadership of Taliban towards the security concerns we have regarding trade from Chabahar port. So it's very simple to read that, okay, we have discussed, we have engaged with the leadership of Taliban for the security concerns regarding trade from Chabahar. Now Chabahar is in Iran. So how come we are taking these security concerns with Taliban? Okay, now this topic very relevant, very important for both pre and mains. From pre perspective, the location of Chabahar, where it is near Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz connects which two water bodies? Okay, Chabahar is at the mouth of which Gulf? All these aspects. Where is Makran coast? All these aspects. That is the map related aspects of Chabahar, very relevant and important. And what are the security concerns we have regarding Chabahar? How Chabahar is strategically very important for India? These questions are important for our mains point of view. Okay. Now, to give you the background of this issue. Now, after the end of Cold War, when Soviet disintegrated and the Central Asian countries attained independence from Soviet, India decided to pursue a policy called Look North policy, right? So, Look North policy to reach out to the countries of Central Asia. Now, we do not have a direct connectivity to Central Asia, as we do not have control over POK. We claim POK on paper as our part, but it is under the control of Pakistan, and we do not have a direct access to Central Asia. So, connectivity is the biggest hiccup for India to reach out to Central Asia. Only way is through Pakistan, Afghanistan, and we share tense ties with Pakistan. Pakistan has never given up the access to reach out to the region. Now, India announced Look North policy, as I said, after the end of Cold War, to reach out to Central Asia, to tap the markets and the resources of this region, one of the last untapped resource-rich region of the world. Okay, but at that time, Taliban took over the political control in Afghanistan in 1996, and from 96 till 2001, Taliban was in power, and Taliban leadership was anti-India. As during the civil war in Afghanistan, it was India who supported the opposite faction who were fighting against Taliban, and Taliban was backed by Pakistan. So as Taliban took over the power, this gave the depth to Pakistan in the region, and India's Look North policy failed. Okay. So many things took place. Then later, after 9/11, US blamed Taliban for sheltering Al-Qaeda and the US started a war against Taliban, and Taliban lost the political control of Afghanistan, and India decided to reconnect with Central Asia, and India announced the policy of Connect Central Asia policy. Now you can see that under Connect Central Asia policy, connectivity is the main concern, and India decided to bypass Pakistan and directly, because now Taliban was not in power, opposite faction came to power, Northern Alliance. So India decided to reach out to Afghanistan, do a lot of investments, build infrastructure, and to reach out to Central Asian states. And in this, Iran becomes very important in our scheme of things. So India decided to reach out to Iran, and from Iran to Afghanistan to Central Asia. In this backdrop, Chabahar is very important. Now see the location of Chabahar. So Chabahar is at the Gulf of Oman, right? This is Makran coast, opens at Gulf of Oman. Here is Strait of Hormuz. So map based question, important for pre-exam. Okay, na? So it sits at the mouth of Strait of Hormuz. It connects three regions. Factual aspects are not important. How many ships sail through, or further how much of oil is being imported, exported. Facts are not important. How much investments are being done. Further, Dilaram-Jirang highway. It is in Afghanistan. So we are further going to the Central Asian region from Chabahar, and here is another strategic port for China, that is Gwadar. So China is entering into Indian Ocean through its own project, that is One Belt One Road project. It has two components, Maritime Silk Route and Belt Road Initiative. Through Belt Road Initiative, China also wants to increase its influence in Central Asia and further to European countries. Ancient Silk Route. And through MSR, China is increasing its presence in Indian Ocean, which is being seen as our area of influence. Any other country's influence in Indian Ocean will create a security threat for India. Okay. Now, to tell you more, to have a better understanding of this aspect, there is something called Malacca dilemma for China. If we have to understand the Malacca dilemma, we need to see this map. Now, another important, if Strait of Hormuz is important, another state is important, that is Malacca Strait. So here is Malacca Strait. And China fears that India, with its strong naval presence, can restrict the entry of China in Indian Ocean. Then China has to circumference all the way from the Australia to reach out to Indian Ocean. Here US is building AUKUS. This is the strategic game plan of US to cut down China's reach. Now China came up with BRI and CPAC. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which passes through POK, ends in Gwadar. So China wants to end its Malacca dilemma through Gwadar. And through that, China has found an alternate route to reach into Indian Ocean. In that aspect also, our Chabahar port is a this makes Chabahar port all more important for India to counter rising China's reach in the region. So I hope you are clear. This is the strategic importance. So India pursuing CCAP in this policy, for the success of CCAP, connectivity is very important, and for the connectivity, our investments in Iran, Chabahar, and further investments in Afghanistan are very important. Okay, so this is basically the broader agenda and the objective of Chabahar, to make our CCAP successful. Otherwise, the way LNP failed last time, India's CCAP can also fail if Indian establishment will not able to improve its ties with Taliban. Okay, now Taliban is a follower of the radical faction of Islam, that is Wahhabism, and it's a Sunni sect. Wahhabism is a radical faction of the Sunni sect of Islam, while Iran is a Shia majority country, and Iranian leadership is seen as the leader of Shia world. So earlier there were tensions between Iran and Taliban also last time, because at that time the leadership of Taliban used violence against minorities including Shia. But this time the new leadership of Taliban gave assurance that they will not use violence and they will run a moderate regime and will not use violence against the minorities. And Iran also decided to reach out to the new leadership of Taliban. Okay. So Iran wants to normalize its ties with Afghanistan under Taliban. And this is in India's interest. And this time the new leadership of Taliban is showing a lot of positive signs and they want to reach out to India. This is the first formal discussion which has taken place between the government of India and the leadership of Taliban. Okay. And in this backdrop, this discussion has become all more important because this discussion is about what? That we want Taliban to address our security concerns which we have in Chabahar. The biggest security concern of India is what? That Taliban should not hurt India's investments in the region. Okay. Another security concern is that this region is lies in the region is called as Golden Crescent. Okay, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan is known as Golden Crescent, from where there is a lot of drug trafficking. Okay, narcotics going on. So India do not want Taliban to push drug trafficking against India. So these are the important concerns which India is having, that Taliban should not hurt India's investment in the region. So if we see where it is located from pre-point of view, Makran coast, provinces are not important. There can be a statement based question. These can be the statements in your pre. It's a deep water port. Yes, it's a deep water port. And we signed a 10-year agreement with Iran that we will build Chabahar and will invest in the infrastructure building. Map is important. Where it lies, its strategic location, junction of shipping and oil trade, how much oil is being passed, not that important. Okay, na? So why this Chabahar port is important for Iran? Because this helps Iran. It helps Iran to counter the Western sanctions, as Iranian economy is under sanctions from US. Okay. So, as I said, it provides India a route to bypass Pakistan and to reach out to Afghanistan and further Central Asian region. So, Chabahar port provides access to India's Farkhor air base in Tajikistan. Now there is a project called INSTC, International North-South Transport Corridor. It's a joint venture of Russia, Iran, India. And through INSTC, India wants to increase its presence in Central Asia. So INSTC project makes Russia and Iran as the strategic ally of India in the region. So both, if India is looking forward to reach out to Central Asia, Russia also wants India's presence in Central Asia. As I just said in the beginning, China is investing very heavily in Central Asia through its BRI project. Rising China's presence is making Russia uncomfortable, and Russia's dependence has further increased on China in the backdrop of Ukraine war. So it is Russia who wants India as a balancer to China, and that is why Russia is helping India to build INSTC. Now, I hope you are aware of this, that India is pursuing neighborhood first policy since independence, and for India, making its influence intact within the neighborhood is one of the important aspects of our foreign policy. And we consider Afghanistan lies in our immediate neighborhood. Okay, the important organization of South Asian region is SAARC, and Afghanistan is a member country of SAARC. If we see the location of Afghanistan, Afghanistan lies at the crossroads. Afghanistan lies at, there is no consensus among the geographers where exactly Afghanistan lies. It is at the crossroad of West Asia, Central Asia, and South Asia. Even Russia considers Afghanistan lies in its extended backyard. It's a extended belly of Russia. This was the reason why 1979 Soviet wanted to increase its influence in Afghanistan and send their forces to protect the communist regime in Afghanistan. which turned the Islamic fundamentalist against the communist. Okay. So Afghanistan is at the crossroad. So where it geographically where it lies, crossroad. But if you see economically, it is more integrated to South Asia, as it's a member of SAARC, but not the member of the important organization called SCO, which is of Central Asia. So its political destiny is more inclined with South Asia, and its economy is more inclined with South Asia. Now India wants to keep its influence intact in the neighborhood, and to keep our influence intact, we need access in Afghanistan, which is possible only through Iran. And this makes Iran all more important for India, and we consider Iran as a strategic ally. Now, all of you, I'm sure, will be aware of this, that US and Israel, they want India to cut down and sever ties with Iran. Why India is not in a position to do so, and India is not doing this? Because Iran is a strategic ally of India in the region, as with the help of Iran, we want to keep our influence intact within this particular region, that is our neighborhood. I hope the strategic importance of Chabahar is clear to all of you. So these points you need for your mains. What are the security concerns which India were having, or India is having, which India has taken with Taliban? Okay, this region is surrounded in a conflict prone region. As I said, India need assurances that they will not impact India's interest and investment. Threat of narcotic crime, Afghan-Pakistan nexus, right? That all, it is the military leadership of Pakistan who backed Afghan Taliban for so many years to counter NATO. But now tables has already reversed, and tensions has escalated between Afghan Taliban and Pakistan because of the emergence of the radical outfit within Pakistan, that is Tehrik-e-Taliban. So in this backdrop, still India is skeptical that whether Pakistan still holds its influence over Afghan Taliban to hurt India's interest or not, though there is a big question mark on this aspect now. Now geopolitical rivalries, China is also investing heavily, and we have to see what kind of policy Taliban will pursue, whether they will hurt India's interest or not. But countering China's rise is also a challenge. So these are the security concerns we are having regarding trade from Chabahar. What were the challenges in developing? One, US-Iran ties, and US has put a lot of sanctions on Iran, making it difficult for us to invest there. Okay. So as you can see, our investment in the railway line has been affected by the US sanctions. Then Iran is also not that efficient in implementing the promises which they have made, and Iran is not able to deal in the international transaction system which has been created because of the US sanctions. So if US-Iran ties will normalize somehow, if somehow tensions reduce between US and Iran, it is in India's interest. Undermining of US-Iran tensions is going to serve the interest of India's both Look West policy and Connect to Central Asia policy. So India's challenge is how we are going to balance out US-Iran ties. So I hope you are able to understand how important this topic was, that this new dynamics which has emerged of India's official engagement with the leadership of Taliban, how relevant and important it is for both pre and mains point of view. So map based question, you can predict from our discussion, there can be a map based question in your pre-exam, and covering these dynamics about CCAP, INSTC, Look West policy, Iran strategic importance, India's engagement with Afghan Taliban, and rising Pakistan-Afghanistan Taliban tensions. All these dynamics are important for our mains point of view. Okay, so I hope. Okay, so these things are important for mains point of view. Okay? So still, if you left with any doubt, you can ask your question in the comment section. So there are so many other dynamics involved, but I'm just discussing things which are more relevant from the current point of view. So let's take the second topic of our discussion, that is Indonesia joining BRICS as a full member. So let's take the discussion for the next topic. Pretty straightforward that a new country has joined BRICS. So as a new member nation has joined BRICS, this make BRICS important for pre-exam statements can be there when BRICS was constituted. Earlier it was BRICS or BRIC. So BRIC changed to BRICS when with the addition of South Africa, where the first summit took place. First summit of all important institutions and organizations are very important. Okay, so when the first summit of BRICS took place, what are the major initiatives taken by the BRICS? How BRICS is seen as the another move in the direction to enhance South-South cooperation. Okay, so BRICS countries, BRICS is further strengthening the South-South cooperation, and it is seen as, so when we say, so in BRICS, one of the important countries is India. Now India wants to act as a bridge between global north and global south. So it is not like geographical north and south. Now there is a line called Brand line. So Brand line divides global north from global south. Basically this vocabulary is used in that. So Brand line important. So if in the the question is which line out of 4 divides global north or global south, Brand, it's an imaginary line. It keeps Australia and New Zealand also part of global north. So global south comes the Afro-Asian countries, the developing and the underdeveloped countries, or we use the word third world for them. Okay, this terminology of first world, second world and third world emerged during Cold War. First world is known as the Western world, second world is known Western European countries and US. Second word used to be known as Eastern European countries and Soviet, and the NAM countries were used to be known as the third world countries, Afro-Asian countries who came out of colonial yoke. So basically Afro-Asian countries are seen as global south, and Brand line divides global north from global south. As per Brand line, China is a part of global south, no more acceptable to US. So according to US, now China should not use the status of a developing country. China should also accept the status of a developed one and should stop taking special preferences in trade. This is the inhibition of US. Among BRICS, it is India who wants to act as a bridge between global north and global south. India still wants to project its leadership for global south through organization like NAM. Okay, and India wants to bridge the gap between global north and global south through G20, BRICS, and another organization called IPSA, India, Brazil, South Africa. Okay, China also aspires to be a part of IPSA, but India is against the entry of China, as according to India, IPSA is an organization of the developing countries. IPSA is an organization of the democracies. India, Brazil and South Africa, they are democracies, and China is a communist state. And this is the reason why China is trying to push all of its agendas through BRICS. Okay, because all three are also the part of BRICS. So, and now new countries are coming into BRICS, which is widening the agenda of BRICS from since its inception. So as I said, when it was constituted, what are the major initiatives taken and how it can be a platform for South-South cooperation and the challenges faced by the BRICS. It is easy to understand challenges, that there are contradictions, antagonisms between the BRICS countries. So first thing, it's an intergovernmental organization made by the countries. So it's an intergovernmental organization made by whom? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, UAE and Indonesia. Indonesia is the most recent addition, and these countries joined last year. So earlier it was BRIC, coined in 2001. These are the founding members. First summit took place in Yekaterinburg, and South Africa joined in 2010. It became BRICS, as I said. 4 new members became a part of this, important fact to know, and now one more country, that is Indonesia. And BRICS is being seen by many Western scholars as a challenge to whom? The Western economy, especially the G7 one. And since the 2008 financial crisis, the importance of BRICS has increased in the world. Okay. Since the 2008 financial crisis has led to the emergence of this opinion that decline of West and the rise of rest, and in the rest it is only the BRICS economies. These are the factual aspects. Okay. So what are the objectives? Strengthen cooperation in areas of trade, investment and infrastructure. Specifically being stated that we are going to strengthen engagement and cooperation, and it was decided that we will invest in the third world countries also to improve infrastructure and boost trade. Now, this is not the only objective. This is first objective, that we need to promote growth, cooperation through trade, investment and infrastructure. Second is that we want reforms in institutions, UN and International Monetary Fund, IMF. So after the end of Second World War, two institutions created known as Bretton Woods twins, that is IMF and IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And IMF is to prevent economic crisis in the world. But in IMF, the voting rights, majority voting rights are in the hands of the Western countries, and among that it is US. And developing countries were demanding reforms in IMF. As West was not ready to dilute their voting rights, later with the rising profile, these countries has created their own bank, that is New Development Bank or BRICS Bank. And BRICS Bank is seen as a challenge to whom? IMF. So their second agenda is we want reforms in global governance, especially UNSC. Now India is one of the most vocal supporter of reforms in UNSC. According to Indian leadership, it's high time for UN to reform if UN has to relevant. Who is against India's entry there? China. And both India and China are the part of BRICS. So this is the internal contradiction within BRICS. But both were consistent in their demand of reforms in IMF. Okay, na? Now, BRICS Plus, that is with the addition of new members, it has 45% of world population, 35% of GDP. Sometimes these kind of questions do come as a statement based question. Okay. So New Development Bank has been created, seen as a challenge to the existing monetary institutions, especially IMF, and CRA, Contingency Reserve Arrangement under BRICS, under which 100 billion CRA is established to ensure if any member country will suffer a balance of payment crisis, financial crisis, then they can look forward towards new DB through contingency reserve arrangement. And India is also one of the major contributors, though maximum funding comes from China. So this is the bank established by BRICS. So mobilize infrastructure where emerging markets, so give them loans and build infrastructure to developing countries. And as I said, India has invested this much. Its headquarters is in Shanghai. Important New Development Bank. Okay, so these are the important things for your pre-exam regarding BRICS, as Indonesia has become the new member. Now, for mains, how it is a platform for South-South cooperation, how it can further strengthen the voice of global South. Who wants to strengthen the voice of global South? India. Okay. So BRICS Plus has included more countries from Africa and Asia. So it has increased the representation of developing countries. Okay, na? And we are now, so it gains legitimacy to advance for the issues of global South. What are the issues we have? Climate change, technology access, trade. Okay. It's a credible alternative, New Development Bank. BRICS countries wants to increase trade through local currencies. Okay, so launch a common currency under BRICS platform. Recently faced US president, about to become the president, he has criticized that if any country will try to create an alternate currency system challenging dollar, US they have to cut down, they need to forget the US market. So on the issue of this, that we need to create a new currency has escalated tensions with US. Collectively they are calling for reforms, but on this there is a differences between India, China. What are the challenges? They have varying economic interest, political alignments. As India and Brazil, they have strong alignment with US, while Russia and China have tensions with US. US wants to pursue protectionist policies against China and sanctions with Russia. Okay. New members leads to what? Ideological clash. One is Sunni monarchy, one is the Shia fundamentalist regime. Okay. BRICS does not have a formal enforcement mechanism, so it is impacting the policy implementation. They rely on consensus decision making. When it is consensus decision making with diverse interest, for sure it will lead to deadlock, the way it is in SAARC. In SAARC also there is a mechanism of consensus decision making. Every country holds veto in SAARC. Same is in BRICS. Okay. But this still, it marks an important step towards strengthening multipolar world, and one of the major objective of India's foreign policy is that we stand for strengthening this and empowering global south. Okay, but there are internal divisions, external pressures, and need is to build a strong institutional framework. So these lines you can directly take to frame your answer for this particular question. So try to frame an answer for this question from the information given above. So there cannot be a broader question on BRICS from beyond the scope of our discussion, be it pre or be it in main. So you should be aware of New Development Bank, when it was constituted, contingency reserve arrangement. New Development Bank is seen as challenge to whom, which are Bretton Woods institutions. When BRIC was constituted, when South Africa joined, when it became BRICS, where was the first summit, when new members added, what it means, how addition of new members has broadened the agenda of the BRICS, what are the challenges of BRICS. So this is all about the discussion on BRICS, and in the context it was in the news that now Indonesia is also one of the new member of BRICS. Let's go to the third discussion. Okay, more from the perspective of mains rather than pre. Okay, yes, so the third topic of our discussion is the foreign minister of Maldives. He came to India. Okay, so relevance from the mains point of view regarding India and our engagement with the neighboring countries of our, and Maldives lies in our immediate neighborhood. Okay, India and its neighboring country. So with the emergence of the new leadership in which context it is more important? So when, as I said, we consider the whole of South Asia and Indian Ocean region as our sphere of influence. This is the region we want to maintain our strategic depth. As India wants to maintain its strategic depth in the region, our influence in Maldives is prerequisite or very important. With the as new leadership came to Maldives under the President Muzu, Maldives drifted away from India. As the new leadership, the new president, he made first official visit to Turkey. Going Turkey was a clear reflection that Maldives wants to project more its Islamic identity over the regional identity of South Asia. Second, he went to China. So clear inclination of Maldives towards China. So this brought some rift between India-Maldives ties, and this is the region where we want to keep our influence, and this became one of the challenge. So in this context, our ties with Maldives are of are of importance and relevance, and our bilateral ties, how our bilateral ties going on with Maldives is always important. Our bilateral ties with the countries of this region is very important. So, the main concern of India in Maldives is the rising profile of China and Islamic extremism. Both are the challenge for India in Maldives. Okay. So, one, India wants to counter the influence of China, and second, India wants to counter Islamic extremism in Maldives. So, in this context, this recent visit of the Maldives foreign minister, that they want to reach out to India, makes this topic a bit important from our exam point of view. So, after a temporary strain, as I said, due to the political changes. Okay. So, both again reaffirmed their commitment to ensure maritime security, trade and investment, and a framework to trade in their local currencies. Right. So, Maldives represent a concrete expression of our neighborhood first. Why it is important? Its location in the Indian Ocean, our regional security. It is a member of SAARC. Okay. So, but if the leaders of Maldives will project more of their Islamic identity, it will put a question mark on their commitment towards regional cooperation. But it is one of the member of SAARC. Now, India has an ambition to become a net security provider. Means India wants the countries of this region of South Asia and Southeast Asia should look towards India for their security. Okay. In that context, our naval military engagement with Maldives is very important for us, or is of main concern for us. Rising China's footprint a challenge for us. So mainly main objective of India is to counter China and Islamic extremism in the region. This is the historical aspect, that what all we have done already in Maldives, which projects our soft power and our positive image there, and they need to remember this. China's debt trap policy for us, and religious radicalization, as I already said. Okay. So these points are important from the mains point of view. Nothing for the pre point of view, it is for the mains point of view. And yes, one more thing is that there is an organization called Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA. It is also important for you to know, okay, who all are the members of IORA from exam point of view. Okay. So this is about India Maldives. So this was about India Maldives, and now next topic of our discussion is Houthi rebels becoming keystone of Iran's axis of resistance. Now this topic is of relevance from pre point of view, right? Because it is about the geopolitical dynamics of West Asia, and geopolitical dynamics of West Asia will not be asked by UPSC exactly in mains. Yes, you need to be aware of this as an aspirant of UPSC. Who are Houthis? What this political group Hezbollah is? From where they are operating? What are their objective? Why we are saying these as Iran's axis of resistance? For what they are fighting for? This all is the West Asian politics. So we need to just have a broader overview of this from exam point of view, not from exam point of view, that too in pre, and probably once you reach to the interview stage, might be board will ask you few questions on these aspects. Otherwise, it will not be in the mains that write about Houthis or the West Asian politics, and how these things can impact the dynamics of India's look west policy. That is important. Okay, so let's take this discussion. Okay, so how it is important for pre, the organizations and the locations. again, impact of Middle East tensions on India, that how these instability and tensions can impact India's look west policy. Okay. So, which groups and states used to be seen as Iran's axis of resistance is? So, Iran's key ally in the region was the regime of Bashar al-Assad, which has recently toppled in Syria. So, Syria, the only state ally of Russia, or state ally of Iran in the region, Assad, follower of the Shia sect of Islam. So, Syria was the only state ally, and Hamas, the Palestinian group, Hezbollah, the political militia from Lebanon, and Houthis from Yemen, they are seen as the axis of resistance of Iran. The three H: Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. So Hamas is the Gaza-based Palestinian group fighting for the independence of Palestine. Hezbollah, alignment with Hamas on the name of Arab Unity. Okay. And Houthis from Yemen, allegiance for Iran. Okay, it is seen as the Iranian proxy in Yemen. So in this is what you need to know. So here is Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, where is Houthi movement, and Houthis are the follower of the Shia sect. Okay, and Hamas is in Gaza. So what is the objective of these three political militias, and the reason for the backing from Iran? One, they have a opposition towards Israel. They have a opposition against the presence of the US military in the region. Second, Iran wants to strengthen the influence of the Shias in the region. Okay, and these many groups, especially Hamas, which is a follower of the Sunni sect of Islam, now their solidarity is not on the name of sect, their solidarity is on the name of ethnicity, that is the Arab Unity. Okay, so they are also against the Gulf monarchies. So these are the reasons for their solidarity, and these three are known as the axis of resistance of Iran. So this is what you need to know, that Houthi as a group is operational from where? It is operational from Yemen, right? Next is Kazakhstan's rare earth potential. So important for pre, what to know, what are rare earths, why rare earths are important, and why there is heavy reliance on China for rare earths. And in this context, India's engagement with Kazakhstan for rare earths is important, as India wants to reduce its reliance on China. Okay, there is a dominance of China in this sector. India also has huge deposits of rare earths, but we only produces less than 1% because we do not have the technology to extract it, and most of it we procure from where? China. And rare earths are used in electronic industry, the sectors which are sensitive for the economy of the country. So in this context, majority of the rare earths are produced and exported by China. Okay, so these are used in sensitive sectors, and India wants to reduce its dependency on China. Okay, na? China accounts for over 1/3 of the global rare earths, and this with India sourcing around 60% of its imports from China. So there is a Chinese monopoly and engagement with Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is also one of the major producer and exporter, will reduce India's dependency on China for rare earths. Okay. So why Kazakhstan is important? Among the richest source of rare earth. This is also one of the aspect of India's CCAP, Connect Central Asia Policy, which we discussed earlier. And in this backdrop, our INSTC is also very important. Okay. Done. So this agreement, rare earths, dependency on China, these things are important from pre-perspective. And last topic of our discussion can be both for pre and mains, that is India-Myanmar border free movement regime. Okay, what this FMR, free movement regime, is, since when it is prevailing, and the dynamics of Indo-Myanmar ties from exam point of view. Now we share border with Myanmar, first thing. So first thing important is to know which of the northeastern states share border with Myanmar. First thing is very important. Okay, from map based, which Indian states share border with Myanmar. Now there is a lot of violence and insurgency in northeast, and borders are porous. So many insurgents of northeast, they have their outpost in Myanmar. The reason why India need close coordination with the military leadership of Myanmar to keep insurgency in check. The reason why we need to engage with the junta leadership, though junta leadership, that is the military leadership of Myanmar, suppressing democracy. India can't be too critical of them considering our own concerns. Okay, in this backdrop, our ties with Myanmar are important. Also, if India will pressurize them more to restore democracy, this will further drift them towards China. So, Ministry of Home Affairs announced a decision to scrap free movement regime. Okay, na? Manipur, Mizoram, Assam, Nagaland and Arunachal. So, MHA announced that we are going to scrap free movement regime, and we'll do fencing. Okay, considering the internal security, because of the as there's a rising migration, or we can say illegal migration. In that context, government decided to scrap free movement regime and strict regulation. Okay, from earlier free movement regime that you can go inside each other's border till 16 kilometer, now it is reduced to 10 kilometer. Okay, important is that it came into existence in 68 because of the ethnic connect, as the people on both sides are of same ethnicity. There are socio-cultural connect between the tribes on both sides, okay, known as Zo people. The border between India and Myanmar was demarcated by British, ignoring the ethnic sensitivities. Earlier, it was 40 kilometer, reduced to 16 kilometer, and now it has been reduced to 10 kilometer. And now government wants to put fencing too. Okay, which force is there to guard the Indo-Myanmar border? Assam Rifle. Assam Rifle is a paramilitary force. It has dual function to it is involved in counter-insurgency also, and it is also guarding the border. It is led by army officer, but it is under the administrative control of MHA. Okay, na? So these are the factual things which are important to know from the perspective of India or free movement regime and the recent Prime Minister Modi's visit to Kuwait. So what is important for you to know is one thing, not the factual aspects from the pre point of view, is this visit is a clear reflection that we are trying to fulfill our objective under West policy, where the location of Kuwait is Persian Gulf, and which are the countries who are the members of Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. So the grouping GCC becomes important because of PM's Modi's visit to Kuwait. There can be a question on Gulf Cooperation Council, that out of these there will be 4 countries which of these is not a member of GCC. Who all are the members of GCC? Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Oman, Saudi. So these are the members of Gulf Cooperation Council. So this much is for this particular week, and we'll keep discussing the weekly updates through these videos. I hope this discussion will help you to prepare for your exam. Doubts and questions you can ask in the comment box. Best of luck. Do well. Take care.